Welcome back to another day in the Elajas era. I'm your host of the most boast, Taylor Elajas. Doing good. I'm doing good. We're doing good though. I'm doing good today. We're back at Elajas and Friends, and I'm joined by.
It's your girl Letta J. Jigga Jigga J. I can't do that voice that you just
Oh,
did.
Jiggle Jiggle J.
You can say that too, but
Okay.
Jigga Jigga,
Jigga
like
Jigga.
DJ Jigga
Okay,
Jigga.
gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Nice.
Yes.
So, definitely wanted to bring you up to the Elajas and Friends stage and help you share more of your story, which I think is a very dope story. And that has been digitally timelined as well, so want to be able to also help share that timeline with the people. But
Happy to be here.
definitely tell the people where you're from.
From DR, grew up in Texas, live in New York.
Mm, okay. So I saw something in which you were saying that growing up in the South made you feel inadequate, or people in the South, the Southern environment makes you feel inadequate. You want to expound on that?
I think it's just I think it's the societal construct of America being in the South. It's not that first of all, nothing can make you feel inadequate, like you the person,
Mm,
but when you're really young and you're in environments where racism is just kind of like embedded in the cloth of the atmosphere where you are, you can feel inadequate. People in the South, I think maybe it's different now, but when I was growing up, they kind of lived in a bubble a little bit. So I say you're a little oblivious. I've joked around and said, like, if you speak Spanish, you're Mexican. If you're Asian, you're Chinese. And if you black with an accent, you're Jamaican.
yeah.
Because it's like this very, very, very sort of narrow lens of humanity
Mm,
and culture and ethnicities and all of the distinctions that really kind of make them nuanced. I don't know if that's, especially in Texas, because like there's the South and then there's Texas. So much so that even when you say you're from the South and you say you're from Texas, people are like, oh, no, Texas isn't really South.
mm,
I'm like, it's like the lowest state besides Florida in America. But what they're really saying is like Texas is so different from other places ideologically in the South that it feels like its own territory,
mm,
which it was going to be. They were going to succeed from the US. So,
yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So even expanding more on mindsets and
Mm-hmm.
growing up in the type of environment that you grew in and the type of family structure,
Mm-hmm.
Mexican mother, Afro Latina father,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where you had a lot of creative ambitions.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see that? How do you see that playing out in your own life where your parents definitely didn't grow up in that type of environment, but that's something that you wanted to do? Did that clash end up happening? And where did you kind of say, I have to break free from this?
Oh, yeah. It was a huge clash. So massive. I ran away from home when I was a teenager
Mm,
and like never went back. Black people don't do that. We don't really climb out of windows, but I did that. No, it was a clash. I want to say it wasn't maybe a clash from the beginning because I think when you're a kid, I started playing the violin when I was 5, the viola when I was 6, cello when I was 7, alto sax when I was 9, piano by 11, and I was singing my whole life. UIL competitions, got my first music scholarship when I was 11. And so when you're a kid, it's acceptable. Your parents like let you play instruments because that's like normal. It's part of what the schools make available to you. But when you start pursuing it as a career, then the parents are like, hold on, that was cute in adolescence,
mm,
but doctor, lawyer, and I was never interested in those professions. Honestly, I just really wanted to make music.
mm,
I just want to make music, but I was also really good in math, and there's an interesting relationship between the two. So I've always been very creative, and I don't consider math technical, but from the left and the right sides of your brain, apparently,
mm,
they're exercising different aspects of just the cerebellum. So I'm very creative and technical. And I think that sort of dichotomy was something that my parents weren't in support of creatively.
mm,
Yeah. So it was like not great. In high school, I didn't know what I wanted to study. And I think it's interesting because now people see me and they kind of just have, they see people that have achieved some level of commercial success and they're like, "Oh man, you're smart. You must have done this." And I did. I went to Stanford and I like followed like a path, but I didn't know. I just wanted to do music. I kind of did. I followed society for like a really long time. And, moving to New York was like me breaking out of all of it. Just like, I get to be free. I didn't know anyone here. Nobody knew me. I got to recreate my narrative and be exactly who I wanted to be.
Got you, got you.
Yeah.
So as we keep going down the timeline, I do have to ask this question, right? So you came out your own mouth and said that your father was a short king,
A
right?
what?
A short king.
A short king.
Yes. But you
Yeah.
then also said that he was 5'9". So is 5'9" a short king? Like I was unaware. When did 5'9" become short king? I just want to know so that the people can know, like, is now the height requirements different? Like I'm confused.
I don't know if I said he was short or just if I said he wasn't tall.
Okay. So 5'9" is not tall. I just want to grasp.
I don't I don't consider 5'9" tall, but to contextualize this,
Okay.
I am 5'7" with no shoes on, and I wear heels all the time, so I am generally taller than a lot of men.
Okay. Do you think that that plays a factor in your dating life and a man's mind?
Yes. More so in the man's mind than my dating life. Now, historically, I have dated taller men, but when I have given the short kings an opportunity, you find yourself, I think, you find yourself seeing how emotionally mature they are because of their life's journey. So when you encounter someone that is just not society's definition of tall, you can oftentimes find that they have like short man complex, which tends to be inflated ego, certain complexes that are just not completely rational, or the need for a lot of superfluous validation, just like things that don't make them, I think, ideal partners, because you just got to heal from that stuff, right? You just do. Everybody has to. I always say, like, people romanticize the idea of labels in relationships. Women are pursuing being a wife. Men have an idea about being a husband. And I really think we should just kind of toss all that out the window and just focus on being partners. Because if you're looking at a partner, whether it's romantic or in business, you're just focused on your value adds. What do you contribute to a partnership that will be successful? And the construct of what's feminine, masculine, provider, who makes more, this, how tall you are, these are not necessarily like, are these decisive components that lead to a good partnership? Or should we be having another conversation? Because there's like preferences, that's the physical stuff. But then there's the qualities that sustain and grow a partnership progressively. You know what I'm saying? So I think with like things like height, I would date a shorter guy if he was amazing and I felt like this could be a solid partnership. But I don't want no problems. I don't want a headache. So if dating a shorter person comes with insecurities that I have to try to heal them from because they won't do that work, then I'm not interested in that.
No Napoleon complexes around here.
Nah, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Napoleon was a little loco.
No. Indeed. Headstrong, love, and money.
Yeah.
Sounds like the characteristics of a Taurus.
Which I happen to be.
Yeah. So do you feel like how do you feel that astrology and astronomy plays an impact on your mind and how you present yourself?
You know, it's interesting. I say I'm not an astrology person. So like when I ask people their birthdays, what I hate is that we are in a society where people go, "Oh, I'm a Leo." I'm like, "That's great. Sorry, when was your birthday?" Because I actually like knowing your birthday. I like knowing when people were born. I like just knowing that. I feel like it's a personal thing. It's the day you were born. And I'm getting to know you. I want to know that. That does not mean I'm attaching it to any generalization. So I think there is cosmic significance, but I think like most things, there's a surface level and then there's probably like layers beyond that, right? And so what most people do is they accept the surface thing and they're like, "Oh my God, you're this. I'm going to judge you based off of it." And it's like, aren't there supposed to be some more rising and suns and other planets and stuff? So I just feel like this should not be a barometer that determines if you know a person. I just think just get to know people. Like, I'm not here for the astrological generalization. Like I'm just not here for it. I don't like it. I don't like it unless I feel like a person has done the work and they understand the nuance of what astrology means, what it represents, and ultimately how it can come together to help you ascertain some cool things or not cool things about a person and then have conversation around it, but not to be like, oh, no, I don't like him because he's a Scorpio. I'm glad I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. Got you.
I don't like Scorpios, the scorpions. But if you're not like that, you're not trying to bite me, we're good.
You know what I'm saying?
Nothing wrong with biting if you're into that sort of thing.
I'm about to say that they do say that biting is a form of love.
It can be.
Yeah.
In certain environments.
Certain environments. You know what I'm saying? But, I actually just found out what my natal chart was a few years ago. And the funny part is they always say that if, let me say they always say, but I've definitely heard some women say that if you're a guy and you know your natal chart, that means you ran through. I don't necessarily agree, but I did find out from a woman. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't just go into Google and say, oh, what's a natal chart? I didn't even know what that word meant or, if it existed. Until somebody told me that.
I have an interesting thing that I just learned. So I was in Atlanta a couple weeks ago, and I was at my friend's like bachelorette stuff. And one of the ladies, she was like, I find you fascinating. I was like, oh, thank you. She says, what is your human design chart? And I was like,
wow.
I was like, my what?
She's trying to clone you.
It was interesting because everyone else knew what it was except for me. I was like, what does that mean? Is that like an astrology thing? She said, it's like a blend of what astrology is supposed to represent, plus a love language, plus a Myers-Briggs sort of test all in one. And you put the same information you put for your astrological chart, like your birthday, your time of birth, and the day you were born. And they give you this very thorough assessment of your human design. I'm talking about the nucleus of who you were created to be and all of these things. And it's so cerebral, which I love that. And I was looking at, and so she looked mine up, and she shows people in the room, and I'm like, it's like on my phone. And I was like, can I see? And other people are looking. And she goes, I think it's wait, I gotta look it up. I think it's a receiver or something. I need to look at it more deeply, but apparently there's less than 1% of people in the world that is whatever I am. And I was like, well, I am a rare bitch, but I don't know what it means.
Okay.
And I gotta look deeper.
So if somebody needs
a reflector.
Reflector.
Yes.
Got you. So when we're trying to get some real high quality blood, we're pulling up to you with the needles.
Unfortunately, I am the rare blood type. I'm like all the things weird. I can save everybody, but nobody can save me. What's with that?
That's unfortunate.
I'm left-handed. I'm like all the things weird.
That means you could probably shoot a basketball well.
Oh, I shot some hoops very well. I played basketball my whole life.
Hey, maybe
the average team 17.5 points a game, starting point guard. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Yada I mean?
Knee bounds. Nice. So you have astronomy, but then you have spirituality and religion. To my knowledge, you're more spiritual than religious, but tell the people what you feel the differences are between the two.
Yeah, I think religion is a construct that was designed to control. It's largely based off doctrine, which was created, like a lot of the manuscripts that were written by men, particularly in the eras when they were written, were definitely designed to control the behaviors of people that they needed to subdue. That to me is religion. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with it. If you want to be pious, do whatever makes your soul smile. But the spirituality for me is definitely a personal relationship. For me, it's with God, my creator, and whoever a person chooses. My best friend's Muslim, it's relationship with Allah. And I think the spiritual pursuit is the desire to dig deeper beyond this physical realm into dimensions that help you better understand who you are, who you want to be, how you navigate the world, what your premise is, what's your foundation, what kind of infrastructure are you working with. All of that stuff for me is what grounds me. And so the one thing I do know about Taurus is with astrology is that I'm an earth sign. And so no matter what the rising or the sun and all those things are, I'm very grounded. Even though I'm a dreamer and super creative, I come back to kind of like pragmatism and logistics. But the spiritual side of me is the delusional side because I believe I can do absolutely any and everything that I want to do and believe I'm completely capable of it. And that's complete faith. It doesn't matter if it's rational to me. I'm not, here for someone else's explanation of my capability. That's the spiritual side, to know that I am a physical being with a very, very spiritual grounding, and I live life that way.
Mm, nice, nice. So all these are putting together the identity of Letta, right?
Letta
Which
J.
Letta J, my bad.
Yeah.
Let it. Make sure you add the J.
The J matters.
Jigga jigga, gigawatts. You know what I'm saying? So all of these being the identity where at some point you may have struggled with that. So how were you able to go from not feeling like you were able to kind of fit in a way to where now you're more of a dominant character that you don't have to fit in, people have to fit into kind of your bubble?
I accepted it. I accepted that I wasn't designed to fit in. It was a problem before because I wanted to blend in. I wanted to not be different, because different means you're talked about. Different means you're bullied. Different means that you may have less friends. It's lonelier. It's sadder. And I think that's why my spirituality is what it is, my relationship with the Creator, because I was like that. You know, my mom and dad are both pastors. And so I've been fasting since I was like 8 years old. My dad was a part of this conference called the Rhema Conference in Dallas. And so I was meeting like Bishop Jakes and Jackie McCullough, Vicky Winans, Kirk Franklin, all these people when I was like a kid. And they would fly to Dallas to go to this conference. And leading up to the conference, we would fast for 21 days. And so I would be during my lunch period in like middle school, elementary school, going to the library, reading my Bible, not eating food then. So it's like weird, you know? Yeah, I've been called like Jesus freaks and all that stuff. And I love it, because I think when a person is willing to, like, that's just what I think that's the stuff that when George Orwell writes about outliers, it's just knowing that if you're willing to put 10,000 hours into becoming an expert in a field that society decided was a person that was extraordinary, why not be an expert of your own life, like of your very existence? Being able to abstain from things that are generally comfortable. That's what obesity is, right? People have chosen to, in large part, outside of certain genetic mutations or like certain genetic components, you're choosing like comforts physically to mitigate your emotional whatever. Certain things that we do and why we navigate the world the way we do is because we're like, this makes me feel good. And so we're willing to accept like temporary gratification instead of discipline, and being so firm in our convictions that we're like, I could do that, but I don't want that right now. And I think being like that trains you to be, the byproduct of that is you become successful because you're so hyper focused on living the life you have decided you want to live, and that's the direction you're going in, that the only distractions are the ones you allow. So you're just in control in a way that makes you hyper focused, and even when you're not in control, you trust something bigger than you that is.
Mm, nice, nice. Part of even my identity, part of even my identity is a quote that I live by, where you mentioned different. It's I'm not different, I'm unique.
Mm-hmm.
And a alternative to that is I'm not weird, I'm unique. So in your case as well, part of your identity is being a owner of a gaming lounge. So along the way, when did that become a part of your identity to be a gamer?
So I'm actually the owner of a gaming agency,
Oh,
and one part of that happens to be a lounge.
okay. Talk to him. My bad.
No, it's okay.
Gigawatts.
No, it's
J.
what
J.
the big J, not the little one.
Okay.
No, but it matters because I like when people understand that there's facets to business, and conglomerates are not comprised of one part. So when people see a physical space, because people are so a lot of times surface, they're like, oh man, there's a 3-story space in Times Square. It's like, yeah, exactly. You're never there. Yeah, my job, I don't work there. I built it. I hired people and I trained them. My job is to be CEO. It's to grow this, and then the growth of this is global. It has nothing to do with this one location. So I just like to make that clear. But
Yep.
what was the question?
When did you begin to identify yourself as a gamer going
Oh, yeah, that's a good
to
question.
this space now?
That's a really good question, because I've been playing video games since I was 4. But I didn't identify as a gamer because I think that's like, I didn't identify as an Afro-Latina. It's just like, I'm Latina. It's like these are part of the things that are your reality. I think probably the first time I maybe said I was a gamer may have been like 2018, because the gaming industry, which has always been enormous, started creeping to the surface primarily because of esports. And so I started competing in like fighting games and stuff. But I don't think that's a very, I think it's a good question, because, and I had a call earlier today where I was talking to this lady who has an 8-year-old daughter or son. And she was saying, oh, my son's a gamer. And it just kind of made me laugh, because this is like an identifying adjective to describe people, but it's not gonna be one in the future, in the very near future, because it's already 8.5 billion people on the planet. Over 4 billion of them already identify as gamers, and 90% of people under 18 are playing video games. So it's just gonna be a part of who people are. It's like saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a gamer." It's gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm a human." It's like, as opposed to AI. It's just gonna
Hard to tell
be.
sometimes now,
It's
really.
very hard to tell sometimes,
Yeah.
but I think when you know what to look for, and it's a good thing that some people know what to look for. People are learning, they're training.
I mean, I want you to give some advice
Yeah,
to somebody trying to know what to look for, because you know what I'm saying, I'm not trying to put him on Front Street, but this is a public story, right?
yeah,
So Matt Barnes got scammed for quite a large bit of money because he was talking to a woman that ended up not being real,
yeah.
thinking that he was cheating on his wife, and then he ended up giving her ransom money essentially. So how can somebody find the difference between AI and human being?
So what? That doesn't surprise me. For people that don't pay attention to detail, they can get duped by AI, because it's in the details. And this engine will become more and more tight and focused. So, one, if you're looking at a subject, AI has to focus on, it's very object oriented. So, it's really about the singular art and the animation of that art. Everything on the periphery is oftentimes blurred, not focused directionally the same. There are glitches in certain things like phalanges and like fingers. Sometimes anything that requires uh, either equilibrium, there can be disparities in that, like eyes, if there's just multiple of anything, and then people that just normal behavior. Like a lot of times you'll see, there was something on Threads. This girl, she was a black girl, and she was yelling at this white couple at an arena, like at a stadium, telling them to get out because they were racist. And I, without even hearing it, because it was on mute, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely AI. And I love that another guy, he was like, without even hearing the music, I know this is AI. But if you look at it, everybody in the audience, first of all, if there's a black girl yelling at like an older white couple, everybody's looking at her. They're looking like, what's going on over there? But people like focus, you are not looking at that game when she's in that close proximity to you. So they're like kind of blur. First of all, they're blurry. Like you can hone in, and unless there is like an actual blur tool, you can see them. But people were looking this way and not really paying attention over here. But people even behind them weren't paying attention. That's not natural. Like AI is an assistive tool. So, and I talk a lot about AI in different like conferences and stuff. It's an assistive tool. It has not gotten to the place where it can mimic natural human behavior in its totality yet. I think that's the direction that a lot of coders and developers are looking to navigate AI to, but it's not there yet. And so there's some really like key things you could focus on where like, yeah, that's not realistic.
Mm. And I think another industry that's trying to take AI and replace humans is the music industry, and they're trying to literally create artists from scratch using AI, right? But even to speak to that, right? You didn't identify yourself as a gamer till much later, but when would you say you started to identify yourself as a musician?
Immediately. It's been like a defining characteristic of my life. When I knew that there was a word called being a musician and I knew I played instruments, I was like, I'm a musician. And then, when somebody said, wow, you can sing, I was like, I'm a singer and a musician. And then I started writing music when I was 8, and I was literally like, I'm a singer, a songwriter, and a musician.
Yeah.
So those were things I was proud of, because those are things that were just like gifts that God, gave me. You have to hone them, make them better. You learn to read sheet music, you learn to play in an ensemble, you learn concertos, you learn to sing arias. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing that I will always identify as.
Mm. Hey, and now you're a singer, songwriter, musician, and Grammy nominated. Ah, see how I slipping in there? So how did you get to that point? Like, what does that look like? Grammy nominated for what category?
Yeah.
We got to know.
So, and it's one of those things where I was in the Potter's House Mass Choir. So I was the youngest member of the Potter's House Mass Choir, which is a Grammy-winning choir. And so got Best Contemporary Gospel Album of the Year.
Hmm.
And I want the one with my name on it. And it's really funny because some people are like, what? That's ungrateful. I'm like, no, it's not actually. It's just aspirational. I have a really good friend. He's a musician. He had like 4 Grammys, but because he's a musician. He played on other people's projects. He got his first Grammy last year. And he gave his like speech, and it's a different accomplishment. It's a different feeling, and I understood that. And he was like, "Yo, thank you, Jay, for understanding." And I'm like, "Why are people ridiculing other people for accomplishments that they haven't even?" It's like, how you gonna complain when you outside of the club? What Chris say?
Can't
Can't
even
even
get
get in. Exactly.
Let go.
Let
Okay.
go.
So going from one G to the next G, right? So when did you go from Grammy nominated to owner of the gaming agency?
Well, so Coexist started out as just the Coexist Game House. It started in my Brooklyn duplex, and that was 2019. Um, that was the beginning of this is my second company, and I just wanted to create a space where I knew that there was this like, nerdy version of me. It's a really big part of me actually. But again, society decides who the cool kids are, which is interesting because really we decide that culturally. But I think there were like disparities between what cool was and what wasn't. It's interesting to watch it change. Um, so gamers to people, even now, because I work hard to disrupt this, working constantly. When you think about a gamer, a lot of times people think about this white guy sitting in a basement somewhere, wearing glasses, playing video games, boxer's bag of Cheetos. And that's like what you envision as a gamer until you realize that underneath the umbrella of gaming is like an entire diaspora. People love anime. We out here. It's the number 1 most streamed content on Netflix. People love comics, cosplay, and then it's under gamers, board games, card games, tabletop games. There are individual communities and like fandom around all of this. So if you say, oh, this person's a gamer, I could probably guess, oh, they probably like wrestling, they probably like anime. There's like certain things because these are things that we culturally all like. It is the diaspora, it's a whole culture. And so I started seeing that. I started seeing anime girls. I'm like, they were hot. And if somebody had a controller, they'd be like, oh man, yo, you playing Far Cry? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh my God, this. And I'm like, huh, I am not alone. And so I was like, I would go to these conventions everywhere. And I always joke and say you could count the chocolate chips in the cookie when you're looking at these environments with like 100,000 people. And I was like, why are we not at these places? And it's because these places were not creating the representation we wanted to see. They weren't highlighting games we built where we were digitally created in these games. They didn't have cosplay lit stuff. And I was like, you know what? If you don't like the world that you live in, it might be because you're meant to build a new one. So I did. And I built a world, though, that was based on not just representation, but inclusion. And it wasn't siloing us anymore. It was like, where the anime people at? Where the cosplayers? We doing a competition? Where the comic book lovers? Who plays RPGs, MOBAs, fighting games, sports games? So we had Tekken Tuesdays, and we had 2K Tekken Tuesdays, and we had Taco Tekken 2K Tuesdays, and we had Taco Tekken Tabletop 2K Tuesdays. It was like about bringing all these different communities in an environment where they normally would never coexist. And what you watched happen were like meaningful, significant relationships being fostered because they have all these things in common. And then you learn these are not just gamers. Gamers are people. They're in real estate, and they're content creators, they're in finance, and they're artists, and they're fashion designers, and they're in crypto. And they're people navigating the world that in their leisure, they are also engaging in these activities. And it's like now half the planet. And so why we're still kind of treating gamers almost like these robots that people don't understand. It's like, we are them. What is it you don't understand? You know what I'm saying?
And now the result is Coexist Gaming.
Bong.
You know what I'm saying?
Bang.
You are not alone. The J not only stands for Jigga, but also stands
Word.
for Jackson.
Hey, I like it.
Getting down and
I
dirty.
like what you did there because I
Yeah.
thought about it and you said it.
You know what I'm saying?
It was good.
Metaphors type
It's
stuff.
good.
So speaking of that Brooklyn duplex,
Yes.
right? You have a welcome to New York moment that is honestly very New York coded in the scammery, but I kind of want you to tell the story a little bit.
Wait, what do you mean?
In where your first New York apartment wasn't actually real.
Oh, what do you mean it wasn't real?
I'm going off.
You mean it wasn't commercial?
It wasn't in existing once you got out the car. Once you pulled up in the cab
Oh,
and you got out the
you're
cab.
talking about when I first moved to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got scammed out of my apartment when I moved to New York.
Mm.
I was living in Canada at the time. Working, I was working with these producers to create ringtones for RIM, which is the parent company that owned BlackBerry in Kitchener Waterloo, Canada. And so
You said Kitchener what?
Kitchener Waterloo.
Kitchener Waterloo?
That's
Wow.
the name of the city.
That's
yeah, I know. And so yeah, it's really funny when you tell people in Canada, it's like you lived in Kitchener, you know. But I moved to New York, and I was on a website. I forgot the name of the website. I need to remember that forever because I hope people never fall for it. But they sent me like a FedEx tracking number and everything for the key to my apartment. I had a roommate and everything. Spent like a couple grand. It was like all I had. I flew to New York. I got in a taxi cab, and it was this Indian guy, Ishmael. We stayed friends for a really long time, by the way. So I got in a taxi cab. He was surprisingly nice. He go, oh, you know, where are you from? And I was like, from Texas. So he pulls up to a Domino's Pizza. And I'm like, oh man, New York is so cool. I heard about how places are like inside of things and on top of stores. So I'm like, maybe it's up there. So then I was like, oh, I have to go to this address actually to pick up my key. And he goes, oh, that's a UPS store. It was next door. So I went in and I said, hey, I need to pick this up. And they were like, okay, yeah, no, we have that. And at first I was like, okay, worried because that was weird. And then he gives me the UPS package and I open it and there's nothing inside. And so I'm standing there, my bags are on the outside of the curb, and I'm messaging the person, hey, blah, blah, blah. Can you please let me know or like call me because they're overseas in London. And then we go to the account and it was gone. And I was like, I didn't understand the concept of a scam. I'd never been scammed before. Like that's sometimes I was like so naive. And so I showed the guy, I was like, can you help me with something? And he goes, what's the problem? So I show him and I was like, I'm trying to contact them. And of course he's like a New Yorker and he goes, it's okay. We'll find you a place to stay. Yeah. And so he opens up the trunk and I was still a little confused. He picked up my bags, he put them in the trunk. I was like, no, what are you doing? I was like, no, this is where the place is. And he goes,
there's no place.
There's no place. He's like, it's not real.
Yeah.
And I was so baffled at the fact that somebody could do that, but then that they succeeded. And so we went to like 3 different hotels and he was so nice. He turned the meter off. This is my first time in a cab. I don't know yellow cabs in Texas. We be driving since we like 14, you know? So we went to like the Chelsea, this one hotel in Chelsea that was terrifying. I walked inside and they had the wrought iron gate over the window and I looked and I saw a big ass rat across the floor. I was like,
thick. They be thick as hell.
Yo, in the hotel though. I was like,
wait, inside your room?
No, but I didn't even get a room there because I saw that and was like slowly backing away. And then I got in there. So I go outside and he looks and he goes, that one. I was like, no, not that one. And so he took me to another one. It was really expensive. And then he actually took me to the Carlton. And I'll never forget this because it was pretty new back then. And so we went there and he goes, so he suggested, I'm going to take you to this hotel. It's really new. And so I was nervous because I knew of the Ritz-Carlton, but it was called the Carlton. So I went inside. He goes, let's just leave your bags here. I was like, no, let me just take it inside just in case and I'll come out and let you know. Because this is me walking by faith. I'm like trying not to be discouraged. I'm sad. I'm disheartened. And I'm like, no, God, I know you got to be with me. So I take my bags and I go in and there's like the staircase, you go downstairs. And I remember looking at this beautiful baby grand piano and I walked over to the front desk and I sat my bags down. And I said, hi, how much are your rooms? And so the girl goes, oh, hold on, let me look up. Do you have a reservation? I was like, no, I need to make one. And so the guy comes over and whispers to her and he says something. So she goes, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going on break. And he was the manager. And he says, how are you doing? I said, I'm doing well, thank you. He says, just give me 1 second. She's going to take her break. I'll be right back to help you. And so while I'm waiting there, the guy comes in that's playing the piano. And I immediately, my naive self, I leave my bags there and I walk over to the piano. And he says, how you doing, beautiful? I said, I'm good. He goes, you a singer? I said, I am a singer. And he goes, you want to sing something? And I was like, yeah. He goes, what do you know? I said, Etta James, At Last. He was like, you know a key? I was like, E flat. He goes, okay. So we play the song and I start singing At Last. And my eyes are closed and I open them and there's like a crowd of people around me and they're all putting money in this little clear vase that he had sitting on the piano with this cloth underneath it. And so I finished singing. I'm like, and I was just like in this zone, you know. And then the manager comes over to me and I'm like, oh my God, am I going to get in trouble or something? I didn't know what happened. And he says, are these your bags? And I was like, oh my God, yes, I'm so sorry. And he says, no, it's okay. He goes, I love your voice. He was like, come over and talk to me. So I go back to the front desk and I said, oh, sorry, I need a hotel room. And he says, all right, well, the good thing is you can get the employee rate. And I was like, the employee rate? He says it's $50 a night. That is, of course, if you're interested in singing here as an employee. So my first job in New York was being a singer because I sang there 3 days a week. And the piano guy came over. His name was Kirk. He gave me the jar of cash. He goes, I think this belongs to you. Remember, I didn't have anything. I had like spent everything I had. And that is why my faith is so strong. This is the first time I even told that story without like coming to tears, but it's just knowing that God just always provides for me. No matter what, no matter how dire the situation looks. I mean, sending me a cab driver, like we New Yorkers at this point. How many cab drivers do you know turning off the meter, driving you around to find a hotel?
I'd be very sketched out. Like, what you trying to kidnap me?
Exactly. And it was just like, I think God just sends what you need. And I always say, like, trusting God means I don't need to know how. Some things you can't explain. It just matters when there is something bigger than you navigating. You just gotta follow in obedience.
Fire.
Yeah.
So, up to this point, right? What would you say that the New York state of mind has done to your personality?
So I never judge a book by its cover. But I've always been, even in Texas, I didn't even know what it meant. People were like, oh my God, you're so New York. I'm like, I didn't even know what that means. But I would walk fast because I don't know. I think I'm built for New York. Some people, it's a personality thing. Some people aren't. I have friends that moved here from Dallas and they left after like 6 months because they're like, oh no, I can't take New York. But it's just, I think New York speaks to who I am as a person. I'm like, New York is focused and gritty and real, authentic, distractions only if you let them, never judging a book by its cover. Like a building can look super old and raggedy outside, be completely renovated on the inside. It just like teaches you things characteristically about people. You understand when somebody's kind of like BSing. You know, literally, I posted today, if somebody ain't signing a contract, they're not intending to pay you. That is a very New York way to be, but that's very much who I am. And I think I carry that energy with me more so now than everywhere. I'm kind of like, there's the time to chill, and then there's the time to work. And when you're on my time, it's like there needs to be intention and a reason that you're here. And I treat people's time the same way. When I go in, I'm like, thank you all so much for being here. Let's get this thing going.
Let's get the show on the road. I definitely agree. However, with the judging a book by its cover, if I see 10 jits in ski masks, I'm crossing the street. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you should.
You know,
You should.
I will judge a book by its cover. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's important to. You know what I'm saying? I think for safety reasons, you should at least give somebody a little once over, and then evaluate if I should be on the same side of the sidewalk as you. You know what I'm saying? I think that's okay.
I don't know if that's judging the book by its cover, though. I think that is a clear indication you should walk across the street, because otherwise it might be not so wise.
Yeah.
But the book, one, it's a book, right? So the cover does say something about what the author wanted you to understand, but it's worth opening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you got a bunch of dudes, what is it? The
quarter zips.
The quarter, no. I want a dollar zip. I don't want the quarter zip. That's
Honestly,
like
a quarter zip is just a YN in disguise. You know what I'm saying? He's just trying to contort your brain to make you think he's something else. He just went to the nearest gap and got him a quarter zip.
if you got on a ski mask and you not at a ski resort, I'm probably gonna walk across the street.
Yeah, expeditiously. I'm gonna see you from like down the block.
Expeditiously.
I'm gonna bust me a little perpendicular movement.
That part.
You know what I'm saying? But we've been getting down and dirty with you, but now we're gonna get down and dirty in other types of ways. Okay, we have the third day energy card game.
Okay. Not the first, not the second.
Not the first, not the second. By the time you get to the third day, you actually trying to learn something. You know what I'm saying?
What are you doing the first day?
What are you doing the first day? You still filling them out.
Okay.
You know, first day, you filling them out. You seeing if you even want to get to the second day.
But are you trying to smash?
Am I trying to smash on the first date?
Yep.
What part of my life am I in? You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Depends. Who is the person that's trying to smash?
Who is the person that person? How do I describe that person? A man who maybe doesn't want to waste his time. Because ultimately, you don't have to actually smash on the first date, but I have to know that you're genuinely attracted to me. So even if we don't have intercourse, which is perfectly fine, I need to leave that situation knowing that you're genuinely attracted to me and not attracted to what I either can provide to the table or what you think my lifestyle is or everything that comes with me. You have to be genuinely attracted to me because that's the passion that'll usually bring us back together no matter what it is that we go through. You know what I'm saying?
That said, knowing that men are predators.
Okay.
On the first date, if you do smash and you really liked her prior to that, does it denigrate her credibility or her quality of being a potential partner you would want to have sustainability and longevity?
I think after she moves, after the smash will do that, not necessarily the smash itself.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? If she then kind of projects herself to be relatively needy, or if she then says, now I gave you coochie, now you must attend to all my bills and you must be my provider because you wanted to give me coochie and I wanted to give you eggplant. That was something that we both made as adults, a decision we both made as adults, but we don't really know much about each other. It was just because we may have found each other genuinely attractive and wanted to share our parts. But that doesn't mean that we actually have any type of deep connection. You know what I'm saying?
You didn't think of a food item for the coochie, you said eggplant.
Yams, donuts.
Yams.
Mashed potatoes.
Charlie made yams official.
You know what I'm saying? So like just because, I wanted to get in the yams and I might have possibly got into the yams doesn't mean that I'm trying to get the whole Thanksgiving meal from you. But
yams are really good for you. They're a complex carbohydrate.
They do taste good.
To the yams? You know what I'm saying? I was distracted. The yams.
Get in there.
Oh, I'm supposed to read this? Okay. Wow. Whoa. What do you find most attractive about me? You
can say it about yourself.
About me?
Yeah.
I think my personality is the most attractive thing about me.
Okay. Nice.
Ain't for everybody, but if you got good taste.
Get in there. And if you're not a short king.
About me.
Okay. Then you say if you have good taste.
No, I was being, If you were an animal, what would you be? I have been told I would be a cat. I think I would be a Black Panther.
Oh, wow. Wakanda. Forever. Nice.
You know who won this fight, right?
Okay.
You know who won this fight?
Know who won this fight? That fight?
Mm-hmm. Superman Muhammad Ali. Yeah.
Muhammad Ali.
Bang. Black Panther.
Okay. Wait, Muhammad Ali was Black Panther?
Well, he was strategic in his movements, sting like a butterfly.
Okay.
Yeah.
People tell me that I look like Chadwick Boseman.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Really?
I don't think I agree, but I've heard it a couple times.
I don't think so. I don't see the resemblance.
I've gotten Key Glock. I've gotten ODB. I've gotten Damian Lillard.
They do not like your face.
They're just doing all types of stuff. The internet is a mean place, but it's okay. I think it's okay to be bullied.
Key Glock hosted a listening party at Coexist, and I don't know what he looks like.
Okay.
I don't.
They say he looks like me. So.
I gotta look him up. Another one.
Let's get in there.
Another one. What's your favorite? They keep asking me, what's your favorite trait about yourself?
Okay, let's get into the
I guess I probably should have said that one, personality, and then what do I find the most attractive? I was supposed to do something physical.
Yeah,
Was
because
it?
honestly, attractive is. Well, I mean, attractive could be multiple different things, but let's go that one with the physical, and then you
Yeah.
said the personality. So, what do you find physically most attractive about yourself?
I'm like looking at. I don't know. My smile, maybe. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know.
it looks like you go
I
to
feel
the
like I'm
dentist.
very all encompassing. You said,
Nice.
what'd you say?
It looks like you go to the dentist.
Oh, thanks. Well,
Yeah.
that's cool. What is the best gift you have ever received? Gift. So immediately the first thing I thought was I actually went to the Maldives on a third date.
Mm.
That's kind of like a gift, but it was also like a date. But it was a cool experience. It was dope.
Third date. So that
Third date.
how many dates lasted after that?
Oh snap! The third date. Yeah. No, it was a dub after that. But
Wow, the Maldives, and then that was the last date. Oy vey.
yeah,
Oof, my inside's tingling for him. Like that.
yeah. He didn't get no buns either.
That's unfortunate. Which is okay though. You know, like you don't
I
have to
mean,
get buns, but like
Yeah.
I think my thing is too. I think that men should, you know, regulate the amount of investment that's done prior to the woman really establishing her actual emotions towards you. It's not about buns or not, but
Yeah.
it has to be that the woman is expressing to you verbally
What?
and physically, but definitely even verbally that like, yo, I'm interested in you. Because men doing stuff like that. I know a woman that on the second date, she got a helicopter ride. I'm like, yo, bro, what if y'all die right now? You gonna be in a helicopter with somebody that you ain't even get no buns from?
You can say that about anything. That's absurd. That's crazy. It's a date. Here, first of all, you do what you have access to.
Also a fact.
So I've gone
I
on
thought he was
dates.
upset though.
I mean, I maybe, but I think it depends on who you're courting. I've gone on a first date where dinner was like $6,000, #1 restaurant in the world. It depends on who you're dating. If you're dating a certain person and you understand who they are, but most importantly, you're showing what they mean to you. So if you know that I'm an executive chef and you know that I've worked at the best restaurants in the world, you know that I love food and wine, then and you enjoy food and wine too, then let's go to a place where we can both enjoy great food and wine. That's what we did.
Nice.
I'm not in his pockets. My concern is not what he pays for the bill. What I appreciate is what he said I meant, and that's why he chose that place.
Nice. I do still feel bad for his pockets. Let's get one more in.
You shouldn't, because if you can spend that on there, his pockets are perfectly fine.
Also facts.
How much is too much? Of what? I mean, too much of anything is too much. Too much oxygen causes oxidation. So I think it's too much when damage occurs. So I don't think there's any such thing as too much love until that love goes into obsession. So it's like the over exacerbation of the thing. You know what I mean? Too much of anything is probably bad, except maybe money.
But even then, I think a lot of money can be a little harmful to you.
Money is never the problem, right?
Person, I guess.
It's the love of it. You shouldn't love any
Coveting.
inanimate objects.
Yeah. Understandable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The one thing that you should never get too much of
is what?
EBN.
Hey,
Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
Turn on the post notification bells every time we drop a new damn video, okay? But the people have to know where they can find you, where they can visit your gaming agency.
No,
which is physically shown through a game house.
An agency is a full solution strategic partnership that we work with brands and we activate their brands through our cultural partnerships.
Indeed.
Coexist Game House is a physical space on 38th between 8th and 9th, 325 West 38th to be exact. We will be opening up several more throughout the United States. And pull up. You can find me on all platforms at Letta J Music, Letta J Music, and go to coexistgaming.com. Go to the bottom and click all the links. Holla at us.
Yes.
Coexist with us.
Coexist, get you a subscription.
Word. Get you a membership.
Get you a membership. You know what I'm saying? They got monthly meetings.
You know what I mean? We're here for the people.
Yeah, for the people here to game. You know, you might see third day in there.
Actually, we
third day energy.
We should definitely have this in there.
Hey,
But you know, the games we play are the ones we build. Don't get it twisted. We ain't just about playing the games. We about building them too.
Hey, we could collab on something.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, collab on something. Definitely.
Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? But once again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Turn on the post notification bell every time we drop a new damn video. Make sure you follow Elajas and Friends on Instagram. Make sure you follow EBN TV on all socials. And make sure you follow Taylor, ELAJAS, on all socials. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Taylor Elajas, and you're watching Elajas and Friends.
Peace.